Greetings everyone, my name is Greg. In this video, I am going to talk about something I don't think I've ever talked about. This is dealing with the near-death experiences that I had the last time. This would have been back around 2007, roughly, because I was in the Army at that time, National Guard, and my unit was set to go to Iraq, but I had been a bit brazen when I was in the Army. And there was one point I was talking to a chaplain, and I asked the chaplain what they knew about Sumer, ancient Sumerians, because that was at a time when I still believed in the aspect of alien abduction and UFOs and things like that. I still feel that, to use the term UFOs and so forth, are plausible. It's just I don't have the logical fallacies that I did. I had realized I was engaging in the same argument from ignorance that the religious do. And what ended up happening, largely because the chaplain that I had talked to, when I asked him about Sumer and what he knew about the Sumerians, because what I was getting at was the aspect of the God of the Bible could very easily be, if the ancient alien idea would be accurate, that it would be what the Sumerians were calling their gods, which were extraterrestrials. The Enki and Enlil were the Anunnaki. And the chaplain had said he needed to do more research before he could talk to me, which was pretty much, I think, his way of trying to blow me off. But when it came time for my unit to go to Iraq, ironically enough, I wasn't going. It was something that I found interesting. But then I had found out from the one officer in my unit that I was going to be having a battle with the Army, because the Army was going to try and say that I had delusional disorder. And I had paperwork from the Army of basically their diagnosis. So I had done I'm getting ahead of myself. When my unit wasn't going to Iraq, I was in a bad position, because I had been planning to be gone for a year and so forth overseas, and I ended up looking at potentially being homeless. And it had me concerned. So I did something I've pretty much told myself since I would never do. And I will tell people, don't do it. And that is, I had talked to crisis intervention. And when I did, and they asked why I wasn't going to Iraq, I had the thought of, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. And I had people prior to this and after say pretty much, why don't you talk about the aspect of my missing time and so forth and the experiences that I had. And what happened with crisis intervention is the exact reason why, even if you believe you've had missing time and alien contact or alien abduction, don't talk about it. Do not go to someone like crisis intervention or anything of that nature and talk about anything of that nature, because what happened to me could easily happen to you. What ended up happening was they had arbitrarily decided, because I mentioned aliens, that I had to be crazy. I was taken to a little room and I saw this security guard come in, and this is no shit. He had black gloves on, and they were going to force me to have a shot of what is called Haldol. Haldol is an antipsychotic. And I had looked at this security officer and I said, "What are you going to do, hit me?" And he recognized that his position and the way he was approaching me could look very threatening. Well, it ended up I was forced to be injected with Haldol. And then I was committed. Things went from bad to worse. It was a 72-hour commitment type of thing. Involuntary. And during that time, a sergeant from my unit had contacted me and told me, "Don't worry about it, you'll be okay," type of thing. But while I was there, I had to take this Haldol. And one of the things I noticed about myself, now beyond the fact I did have a nicotine patch on because they wouldn't let me smoke, but one thing I noticed within the first day, I was shaking. Literally, I could not stop shaking. And before being released, the doctor had, for no reason, I didn't cause any problems, I wasn't aggressive, he arbitrarily doubled the dose. No reason was given to me. And before I left, one of the things that was in the information that they did say was that this could cause diabetes. I looked at this doctor and I said, "Are you trying to fucking kill me?" Because I have diabetes in my family. My grandfather had it. My dad has it. My uncle had it. So whether it skips a generation or not, I'm kind of in the crosshairs. Haven't gotten it yet, type of thing. I've kind of dodged the bullet on that one, even though I drink soda like it's going out of style. Thing is, and the ironic part of this, the jacket that I had when I was committed, in the pocket were sleeping pills. And when I was released, they were still there. They didn't check the jacket. But I went from there. A friend of mine picked me up and brought me a pack of cigarettes. And I went over to my sister's. And she noticed that I was shaking. And she asked me why I was shaking. And I said, "I don't know. I can't control it. I can't stop." I've found out since, Haldol is an antipsychotic. One of the things that, and the doctor should have known this, that if the person does not have the symptoms that something like Haldol is to treat for, it will give them the symptoms. My shaking should have been a prime example of he doesn't have this. Because Haldol is used to control shaking. It's one of the things it treats. I didn't have that. So it was causing that issue in me, which a doctor should have known as a red flag, a big red flag, that this drug does not belong in this person. And instead of doubling the dose, dropped it. But he doubled it for no fucking reason. And they had asked me, "Are you going to take this after you get out?" And I lied. One of the few times in my life I lied. And I had said, "Oh yeah, I'll take it. Oh sure, no problem. Knowing full damn well, like hell I would. But thing is, that day I had some money, not much. And I had decided already, one of the aspect of The feeling suicidal that I was slightly before, it was enhanced. Big time. Because of the experience that I had for the past 3 days. And ironically, and you want to talk irony, the day I was released was a Friday the 13th. And I think it was in February. So it's one, I don't have a calendar in front of me to check if that was 2007 or 2008. But it was a Friday the 13th, and it was in February. And I went and I got a second bottle of sleeping pills. And the first night, now the bottles that I had gotten of sleeping pills were about like bottles of 100. The first night, I got a hotel room. And the first night I took about 70 some sleeping pills. And before going to sleep, I remember I was feeling shaking and so forth. And when I passed out or whatnot, what I remember from that night is violent. I was tossed around that room like I was a rag doll. I don't know. I remember the first thought I had when I woke up the next morning was, fuck, I gotta do it again. That was my mindset. I went down and paid for another night and went back to the room and took well over 100 sleeping pills. I was determined. I was not going to go through this shit again. I was done. Basically, check me out. I'm fucking done. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. The second night was different. Just as weird, but different. It wasn't the violent. The only thing that I can attribute it to, the first night I was angry. I was violently angry at everything that had happened the past 3 days. I was livid when I overdosed. The second night, or the next morning, when I took over 100, I had reached a point of, I just want nothingness. I just want to die type of thing. And that second night, I don't remember when or anything. Time was gone. But I felt like I had to go to the bathroom. And the bathroom that I was in, initially it looked like my sister's place. That it was a long bathroom, that the toilet was at the end. I turned on the lights, walked in, light went out. And I got about halfway. I went the rest of the way. I was like, fuck it. I'm not proud. I'll sit. Boom! Right to the floor. I got back up, crawled, felt along the wall, found the light switch, turned it back on. Saw the toilet right where it should have been. Started walking again. Lights went out. This happened a few times, and every time it would turn off sooner and sooner, to the point where I'd be standing at the light switch turning it on and it wouldn't come on at all. And I was like, all right, fuck it. And there was one point I had, because I wasn't going to make any quick moves to be, in a sense, tossed against a wall type of thing, I had stuck my arms out and felt around, and I felt like I was in a cage, in a box, completely enclosed. And I remember I had the thought at one point, if I would be in a hotel room, if I scream, and I'm in a hotel room, somebody will hear me. I tried that. Didn't work. I don't know how long I was there, but one thing I can tell you, I'm a heavy smoker. But the whole time, with all that stress and so forth, never once did I have even an inkling for nicotine. What ended up happening, I felt the wall behind me turn to feel like a curtain. And when I moved, I noticed there was a door frame, that just the edge of a door, and I could see just a little bit of light. Well, I couldn't find the door handle, so I reached up at the corner, and it wouldn't move. And I was initially thinking, motherfucker, you're coming open. And I pulled with everything I could. Door opened. And I was back in the hotel room. And I honestly thought, okay, I'm going to walk around the corner and see myself lying in the bed and be pretty much, I'm dead. This is a ghost. This is whatever fucking afterlife there is. No. I sat down on the bed and immediately lit a cigarette. It was one of, what the fuck just happened to me? Where the fuck was I? What the hell is going on? The only thing I know for certain, the first day I overdosed was a Friday. The second day was a Saturday. And I woke up on a Sunday morning. I lost all of Saturday. I was, who knows fucking what. I was never found in the aspect of having my stomach pumped or any of that shit. So it's one, I don't fucking know. How I'm still breathing right now, making videos, I don't fucking know. But the next day I had the thought of, all right, overdosing is not going to fucking work. And I didn't really have a desire to go to a church, but I figured, fuck it, I might as well have nothing better to do. Because I haven't been afraid of the dark since I was a little kid. Except for after that. The days that followed that second overdose, I didn't want anything to do with darkness. The dark bothered me. I was still very much shaken from, to use the term, the near-death experience or whatever the fuck that I dealt with. Sergeants in my unit afterward had said that possibly some of what I had experienced could have been residual side effects of the alcohol. And that is a very logical analysis or conclusion to reach. So I was like, all right, I can, in a sense, go along with that. That makes sense. But that Sunday, I did go to a church. And I talked to the pastor of that church. But I still had no place to go. And I didn't know what the fuck to think. It was one, I felt trapped. But in order to have, in a sense, somewhere to stay, I went along with their program and did the whole accepting Jesus and all that happy shit. And ironically enough, where I stayed that Sunday night, Monday, and for a few days after that, I slept in the church. That was unnerving because I don't believe in ghosts, but it almost seems like there was something there with me that night. Something not physical. It was weird. But I had the thought of basically get my taxes done type of thing. I had done that, and within a week, I had the money to get a room and so forth, and I was still shaky type of thing. But being away from that church type of thing, there was one point right after I had my own I had a room. I went to one of the people that was in the church, and I was going to talk to them. And when I showed up at their place, I encountered something that really had me just kind of going, this doesn't make sense. I had seen a couple when I was there that they were together, and when I went over to this other person's house, the woman that was with this other guy was in this guy's bed. And I was just kind of, you people are Christians. What the hell is going on? What the hell is this shit? And it really had me just kind of stepping back and being, wait the fuck 1 minute. Ended up going back to the room that I was at, and I happened to have on audio Richard Dawkins' God Delusion. And I started feeding my mind again. And it wasn't long until I realized, you know what? Bullshit. Fuck Jesus. My dad had said I used Jesus and shit for my own ends, and I was one of, in a sense, I'll be, okay, fine, so what? I played the game. I did what I had to do at the time. It's something that I feel it's shitty for Christians, that the only way they'll help someone is if they buy into, if they say they go along with their bullshit. That, to me, is big indication they know what they're putting forward is bullshit. Because they know they have to coerce somebody and pretty much have the person feeling like they have no choice. That they have to do this in order to survive for the here and now. And for those, if you're in a position where basically if you're a young kid and you're living at home, or if you're in a position where you need the help type of thing, play the game. Go along with whatever, play the game so that you can survive. It does not, in a sense, I just see it all around. It's shitty that somebody would want to basically blackmail someone with helping them, in order to help them, that you have to say you believe in Jesus. That I've never found that anywhere in the Bible where Jesus said, yeah, to help somebody, make sure you blackmail them with, they have to think as you say. Otherwise, don't help them. I don't know if that, Christians, show me where Jesus said that. Otherwise, explain why you behave that way, or why so many of you behave that way. Why Christian churches that want to give away a free meal, they'll say it's a free meal, but in order to get it, you got to listen to their bullshit. So you're paying for it by having to listen to their shit. It's not free. These are the issues. And Christians that want to say about, I have anger towards like Christianity and so forth, you're goddamn right. Because of the things I've seen, not just in my life, but other people having to deal with your stupid ass and your stupid shit. It disgusts me. But it's something that I don't think I've ever talked about. And I don't know what happened, especially that second day. I have no fucking idea. I completely lost that Saturday because I took those other sleeping pills in the morning and I didn't wake up till Sunday morning. I have no fucking idea what the hell, if I wasn't sleeping the whole time, but how the fuck long I was in, and it couldn't have been the bathroom at that hotel. Because the interesting part with that, Years later, when I met my girlfriend, and we had stayed at the same hotel, same area, when I went in the bathroom, one thing I noticed around the light switch, it glowed in the dark. When the lights were off, it would glow to let you know where the lights were, even if you were in there and it was totally dark. Where I was on that Saturday wasn't like that. That light switch, it was absolute darkness. There was complete darkness for most of it. I don't know. It's really fucking weird. It had me just kind of scratching my head. But I had said about the battle I had with the Army, I had written a 10-page report that I entitled Debunking Delusional Disorder. And when I met with the doctor and had a video conference, within an hour and a half, I was medically cleared. And they had asked in the questionnaire type of thing before going in, basically the aspect of what do you want type of thing. And I have no doubt if I would have said I want out, I would have been released. I'd have been medically discharged. But what I had said was I want to fulfill my contract. I had said I took an oath that I would serve 6 years. I want to do that. I'll be damned if I'm going to try and cut out. And I was medically cleared, and I was able to fulfill my contract. After that, I had gone into it and I decided I would not talk about the alien anything. No, not again. It's one, since then, I have become a lot more skeptical. But the subject of aliens and ancient aliens and so forth are things that I find interesting. And I had done research years ago, back around 2006 when I was just getting out of basic. I had started looking into Enochian again, and that language and so forth, and things with Sumer, and that's when the missing time began again. And I don't know if the two are connected, but it's something that at the time I thought they had to be linked, but now I'm not sure. And the last thing that I'll mention is there was a point, this was after the battle with the Army and so forth. I was working at a liquor store, just a beer distributor, I should say. And I would be the only one there during my shift. And there was a phone call that came in, and somebody never identified who they were. And they had said they're watching. And they had said, stop talking about the aliens. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I wouldn't talk about it in the Army. Anywhere Army, no. But in my personal life, I still would talk about the alien subject. And I got repeated phone calls about this shit. And it made me feel very uneasy. Because there was one point I had been out smoking a cigarette, and I initially thought that the guys from the car wash were pranking me. And they had said they didn't know anything about it. Because that one time when I went in and answered the phone, the person had said, you were just out smoking a cigarette. We're watching you. Stop talking about the aliens. And I was like, who the fuck are you? And they mentioned some kind of day of reckoning, and I was like, you gotta be fucking high. But at that time, I was trying to get to where I would be working on base, and it was really weird. I had an interview with a captain. He wanted me he wanted to hire me for that position, and I was on a list to follow somebody that as soon as they went to Iraq, I would go into that slot. But as soon as the person went to Iraq, the slot was taken. It was one of, what the fuck's going on? Things were happening to basically prevent me from working on base and being there during my guard time. It was just a weird, what the fuck's going on type of thing. I'm not a conspiracy theory kind of person, but at that time it was one of, what the fuck is this? One of, why am I being, in a sense, blocked every time, every way I turn, that the aspect of working on base while I'm in the guard, it was just one wall after another. I never had an explanation for that, but it was something that I found very bizarre. But this was something I don't think I've ever shared with you guys. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments in the comments.